pistol. This is a hell of a time. I've always loved this place since the day I arrived. Everything about it. Sam, are you going to go with me on this?
I don't know, John. This one is very ugly.
You and I, we're salesmen. We sell. That's what we do. It's not complicated.
Exactly. And you know damn well you don't sell anything to anybody unless you think they're going to come back for more. That's the lesson we learned. And tomorrow, we're done.
But this is it, Sam.
But you keep saying that. What's that supposed to mean?
This is a big one. Most of us aren't going to make it out of this one.
Us?
The street.
What are you talking about?
This isn't the last situation I'm going to have to deal with this week. This is just the start.
It's the start because you're starting it.
Maybe, but I don't believe that. Not this time. I mean, the numbers, they just don't add up anymore.
I agree with you there. I've been saying that for years.
I mean, if this kid out there can come up with this, then...
Look, I just don't think I can walk in there knowing what I know and put the hammer down on these guys.
When did you start getting so soft, Sam?
Fuck you, soft. You're panicking.
If you're the first out of the door, that's not called panicking.
Well, you're obviously operating with more information than I have. But I think this will destroy this firm. No one will ever trust you again. You're knowingly putting people out of business, full stop.
You have no deal with that, Sam.
What happens when the vital signs of the economy disappear? The U.S. CPI report was canceled. The Fed won't have the data it needs before the next decision rate. Meanwhile, political stimulus checks are promising retailers are running out of pennies. The economy is flying blind, a classic signal of a marginal cost scenario building at the national level.
Secretary, and she confirmed what a lot of people have been suspecting for a while now, which is that October jobs report and CPI number are likely now not ever going to come out because it's going to be too difficult to go back and recreate that data, even if the government shutdown is able to be concluded today. So some of that data will just be a black hole in the history books as people go back and look at this period of time, Brian.
Without the CPI report, investors and policymakers have no clear sense of inflation. No data means the Fed may misstep, raising or holding rates at the wrong time. Inflation is a silent margin call trigger. When it rises unseen, debt becomes more expensive and the system becomes unstable. Even small signals matter. Retailers running out of pennies isn't trivial. It's an indicator that cash flow supply chains and liquidity are under strain. These micro events are early warning signs that leverage in the system is being tested.
He is now giving a timeline for his proposed $2,000 rebate checks. He says Americans could actually see them by the middle of next year. Some problems with that, though. The money would come from tariff revenue, but here's the big catch with that. The plan still needs congressional approval, and that's a long shot. The Supreme Court is also reviewing whether Trump's tariffs are even legal in the first place. If struck down, the government may have to refund that money to importers, leaving nothing left for those checks. Budget experts also say the math just simply doesn't add up. President Trump claims trillions are coming in from tariffs.
Promises of $2,000 tariff checks may appear helpful, but in a leveraged system, pumping cash into the economy without data transparency increases risk. This is akin to adding fuel to a fire while the broker cannot see your position, a setup for a margin call. Once this check is issued, expect consumer goods and everyday needs to increase. This stimulus check will be a short-term gain to a long-term problem. The key in solving this problem is addressing the $38 trillion elephant in the room.
Okay. Although this time we're going without the CPI, our senior economics reporter Steve Leisman takes a look at what the alternative inflation data the Fed is kind of surveying at this point, what choices they have among those. Steve, we're probably never going to get that CPI data.
No, the White House said yesterday the CPI and the jobs data from October may never happen, or at least are unlikely. But among the alternative data that Fed Chair Powell is looking at, that he said he follows, was State Street's price stats. That scrapes millions of retail prices off the web and calculates the change on a daily and a monthly basis. It has crept up, you can see here, slowly since the president put tariffs in place, gaining nearly a full percentage point since May and underscoring the caution of some Fed officials, more about that in a second, about cutting interest rates. The good news is it's been stable, you can see there, for the 2 months. The bad news is it doesn't include services. Well, the data series itself, you can see, tracks pretty closely, or the BLS headline pretty closely, though it has run a little cooler than both since the pandemic. Yesterday, Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic said he opposed the December rate cut in part because of survey data from businesses that his bank gathers showing intentions to boost prices. Bostic, who is not a voter and announced his intention to retire in February, said he also saw inflation spreading to those core services.
When inflation data is missing and the Fed cannot adjust policy accurately, debit costs rise invincibly. For the U.S., this means interest payments, government spending, and corporate borrowing all carry hidden risks. The system is quietly moving towards a margin call. For citizens, missing data and unpredictable policy means uncertainty in wages, prices, and savings. For businesses, it means planning becomes guesswork. For the government, it means leverage is rising unseen. Exactly the conditions that may trigger a national margin call. Data blackouts, stimulus interventions, and microeconomic stress signals are more than just news items. They're warnings for the economy. America's economic leverage is under a test right now, and the margin call is ticking. In our final video, we'll examine global stimulus, quantitative tightening, and financial system innovations, and why they may be preparing us for an eventful margin call. Peace.